Organized by craftspeople, co-sponsored by Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office London, Creations Enlivened Metal showcases the works by traditional craftsmen and contemporary artisans from Hong Kong, working across a myriad of metals such as copper, brass, silver, tin, and galvanized iron. The exhibition reveals the rich history of metalwork and novel adaptations of those traditional techniques responding to the demands of modern day, while contemporary artisans strive to convey our culture and traditions through the elegance, strength, and durability of their metal creations. The ancients loved painting, calligraphy, poetry, Chinese opera, and incense appreciation, similar to today's enriching and multifaceted lifestyle. In the ancient East Asian region, these leisures and pleasures were important rituals and even part of their social system. Yuan, meaning circle in Chinese, symbolizes contentment and perfection, unity and harmony. Gamzar began his apprentice journey by learning the basic techniques of crafting galvanized iron from Master Michael Yu. This binary quality of the material reminded him of the Chinese philosophy of yin-yang. Harmony is created through opposites, motion and stillness, odd and even, rigid and soft, dark and light. When designing the work, Gamzar incorporated two polarities with paper fans to convey his concept, using parametric design to analyze the shape and simulate the overall structure. The natural pattern of galvanized iron is juxtaposed with the smoothness of brass. Gamzar used the folding technique to present the changes of light and shadow, resulting in an accordion-shaped installation. After discussing the feasibility of the design, trimming all the components and rounds of experimentation, Master Yu and Gamzar determined the sequence and direction of buckling, including ways of folding and closing. Following the alignment of all components, they proceeded to create the ideal buckling structure by folding and hammering. Wired edges were added to the tops and bottoms of each component before the process known as buckling. It is a technique that connects all components with a hammer. Buckling can be categorized based on the position of the joints, whether sheet connection or corner connection. Through the collaborative work of Gamzar's creative designs and Master Yu's skillful technique, 12 galvanized iron components were assembled into a set of 3 accordion-shaped artwork. The 3 wishes includes the wishes of the return, cast copper plates, the mirror of hope, bronze mirrors, and the guardian of hope, door knockers. Being the apprentice of Master Liu Wingsheng, sculptor Fanson Lam hopes to bring copper casting to a new aesthetic level through the collaboration. With over 50 years of experience, Master Liu's craftsmanship brings Fanson's creations to life. His crafting process starts with the creation of the crafting mold, an air-dried sculpted clay model covered with silicone gel. As the mold is formed, liquid wax is poured into it. After cooling, the wax will harden to become the desired form. A complex form has to be divided into parts and welded together to become a wax tree. The wax tree is then placed in a steel container where the plaster is poured into. Hardened plaster is heated so that all the wax wrapped around the plaster is melted and a hollow plaster mold is formed. Copper is then melted at a high temperature of over 1000 degrees Celsius and injected into the plaster mold. The plaster mold is cooled by immersing in water, enabling the copper inside to solidify. The plaster is then removed and an oxidized patina could be created by dipping the work into a special chemical solution. After coloring and finishing, the work is heated repeatedly and coated with a wax layer to enhance durability. Craft calligraphy contains 60 Chinese characters with the radical jin, meaning gold or metal, written by calligrapher Hua Guo on rice paper. Each character is closely tied with our daily lives, customs, and culture. Coppersmiths Nathan Wong and Hazel Lee reinterpreted each brushstroke on brass by hand with fret saws, creating one-of-a-kind textures that machine-operated laser cuttings cannot replicate, embodying the passion for handcrafted metalwork of the three craftsmen. After conceptualizing Nathan and Hazel's creative framework, Hua Guo created the 60 Chinese characters with his sleek and graceful brushstrokes. The calligraphy was then digitized, printed, and pasted on a 1.2 millimeter thick copper plate before carving. By drilling a small hole with a pendant drill, a saw blade could then pass through the brass. Nathan and Hazel then carved out each character intricately by hand using a fret saw. Each character has different brushstrokes and complexity, taking an average of 5 hours to complete. Eventually, each plate is immersed in gasoline to remove the pasted calligraphy, symbolizing the birth of the work, craft calligraphy. Metal is known for its outstanding durability and conductivity, making it an ideal material for tableware. Embroidering modern artistic taste onto traditional craftsmanship strikes a balance between aesthetics and practicality. By appreciating the beauty of tableware, culinary culture can be passed on from generation to generation. Dimple Yuan and Ivan Chang teamed up with traditional craftsmen Luk Shu Choi and Luk Kung Choi to refine a copper still by adapting techniques from handcrafting herbal tea brass vessels. Through the partnership, the Luk brothers refined the alembic still for the young distillers, propelling the art of copper craft forward by introducing new elements to a traditional piece, reinterpreting the traditional craft of copper hammering that once represented the culture of Hong Kong. Dimple and Ivan were intrigued by the form and texture of traditional copper herbal tea vessels that Pinky had produced, which inspired them to refine the alembic still using traditional copper hammering techniques for herbal tea vessels. The production process starts with a large copper sheet, which is then cut down to size, much like tailoring fabric. To fabricate a large copper still takes around 30 days. Both the Luk brothers think the most challenging part is to form the shape, which has to be very precise to be connected seamlessly with the body of the still. From forging, welding, and polishing, each demands the craftsman's utmost concentration and finesse, amounting to the refined creations by the Luk brothers all along the way. The silver teapot with jadeite inlay represents the collaborative work between contemporary artisan and metalsmith Yves Chan and traditional gem-setting craftsman Jimmy Hui. Made from sterling silver, the design of the teapot blends the aesthetics of the East and the West. Utilizing traditional raising and sinking techniques, Yves Chan shaped the flat silver sheet onto hollow and three-dimensional forms by repeated hammering and then welding the pieces together. The lid is a centerpiece of the teapot. Yves used chasing and repoussé techniques to emboss the unique motif. An icy jadeite from Myanmar is then inlaid on the top of the teapot lid by master Jimmy Hui. In the exhibition, Yves Chan is also showcasing his independent works, Whale, Different Angles, and The Flask. Imbued with Yves' creativity and playfulness, Whale is a set of sake pitcher and small cups with a lively image, made of tin through raising and sinking. Inspired by the idea of angles, each cup of different angles is named according to the number of angles on the lip of the cup. Circle, 0, almond, 2, quadrilateral, 4, heptagon, 7, octagon, 8, and decagon, 10. Coupled with the flask, the set captures the playful serenity of enjoying alcohol. Local traditional craftsmen Peter Ng, Luc Shu Choi, and Luc Kung Choi collaborated to create this engraved copper pot. The Luc brothers first created the copper pot through forging. Master Ng further engraved the pot with vines, spiral-shaped patterns, and the four gentlemen in Chinese classic literature. Master Ng aptly uses a wide range of hammers and chisels with different dimensions and angles to carve a myriad of patterns onto metal objects, which are fixed onto a specially made wax spherical mount to be chiseled. During the process, Master Ng usually stands to make his body more flexible. The sharper the curves he works on, the more his body has to bend. With Master Ng's refined techniques, a dazzling scenery of seasons is engraved, bringing the work 4 seasons to life.